Alright, welcome. So yeah, welcome. So basically, in this individual reading, this will be for Aquarius. This will be for June 8th to June 16th of 2026. So you know what, Aquarius, I understand what you're going through in every single time in that way. Because you have to be, be who you are, and that's how it goes. But the way this is, it's like this is the way it is, and when you do it, that's how it goes. So whether you decide of what's happening around your situation, no matter if you're doing okay, whether you're doing okay, and that's how it goes. But there's always that tension, whether you seem to be, I'm okay or I'm not okay. It all depends on what you're going through in that way, and you have to do that. So Aquarius, I understand about how everything is, and I understand of what's happening, but the way how this is, whether you understand yourself and say, I need to do exactly what I'm doing, that's how it goes. So you have to understand of what you're doing in that way, because that's how it goes, right? So that's how it seems to be. So this is how it is. So let's see what's going on. So you have the 10 Cups reversed as incompletion, and the Sun cards over there is positivity. Now, incompletion is when you have incompletion, everything is incompleted, right? It's like you're wanting to test and you basically failed, or it's not completed, and that's how it goes. And you have the Sun card is positivity. You might deal with an Leo as a fire sign. But what this is, Aquarius, you need to understand about how it goes, because when in doubt, you understand what's going on, and you have to understand that. So whether you see it in one way or another, you think that, okay, well, it's going to be how it goes. It needs to be very interesting, yes. But how would that be? How would that be impossible to make it possible? That's how it goes, right? So that's what it's going to be. So the way of this is, whether if you decide about it and you have to think to yourself and say, all right, well, this is how it goes, you have to understand that, right? You have to do what you can and say, all right, this is how it goes. It needs to be how it goes, right? So you have to understand that, because in many ways you have to think to yourself, it's like, this is how it goes, right? This is the way it works. So you understand that. So you have to understand in that way, in a specific outcome, you think to yourself, it's like, all right, this is how it goes. It needs to be how it is, and this is how it's indeed. And when you do it, that's how it goes. Because in that way, theoretical speaking, is that you need to understand that, because it's just not the worst case scenario. It's not the way how it goes, but in that aspect, that's what it's going to be. Okay, that's how it goes. So you have to understand that, Aquarius, because that's what it's going to be. All right, that's how it goes. So in the way of this is, you have the towers up is reversed. There's no transformation, so everything's not changing. The death card is upright. There's endings here, so you may be focusing on the Scorpio as another water sign. Six Pentacles is upright. You want kindness, you want respect. So you might do this in the Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. The 10 Cups is upright. There's completion. Everything's completed. So you might do this in the Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Nine Swords, there's drama here, because that's how it goes. So you might do this in the Journal of the Aquarius. And the High Priestess is upright. You're using your voice. That's how it goes. So whether you do it in the right way, exactly how it goes, that's what it's going to be, because you have to understand that, because there's always a good feeling, and that feeling is that it needs to be well known, but that's how it goes, right? So in Aquarius, you need to understand that. You need to be what you can, but that's how it goes, okay? So let's see what's happening. So I'm going to clarify between the Six Pentacles, the Tower, and the Death card. Traders, there's no progress. The Empress, there's nourishment. Registeers, there's no skill. Five Pentacles, you want money. For Customers, there's no distraction. And for Swords is upright, there's basically rest here. So you might be healing. You might be, that's how it goes. So you might be doing some generally recurs, right? So that's what it's going to be. There's no progress involved. I have no idea why, but that's how it goes. So I'm going to clarify the Chariot. The King of Cups is whatever you want support. Page of Cups first, there's no loyalty. But the Ten of Cups there's completion. Exactly. So, you say to yourself, it's like, I need loyalty, I need respect. But the way this is, you need everything is all completion, alright? That's how it goes. So when you complete it, that's how it goes. You want support, alright, but Aquarius, you need to understand. You need to be who you are and think, okay, well, this is how it goes. It needs to be great, and that's how it goes, right? So you have to have your own greatest comeback in the way of how it goes, right? This is the way it seems to be. So then clarify this: 10 Cups, High Priestess, and the Nine of Swords. 10 Cups reverse, there's no empathy. 3 Pentacles reverse, there's excitement. 9 Cups reverse is no fulfillment. 3 Swords reverse is no heartbreak. 3 Cups over, there's celebration. Empress over, there's structure. Just reverse is no healing. Queen Pentacles over, there's prosperity about money. Exactly. So things are happening all at once, but that's how it goes. You think to yourself, it's like, it needs to be good, it needs to be representative, it needs to be, plural. But the way this is like how it's going to be, right? It's like the way of this is, no matter how you're going to do it in that aspect, that's what it's going to be. It's like you need to have the way how it goes. It's like you're saying to yourself, go figure, right? That's how it goes. But this is not a figuring. This is not the way how it is. But you have to be responsible, because in that way, Aquarius, you need to understand it. Because if you're dealing with another Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, things are not going as planned, or that's how it goes. You need to understand it. You need to verify your own self, right? It's like you're having your own notification, right? You get one of those notifications, and you get it from, let's say, for example, on your phone, you have notification. Well, those notifications will keep coming up, right? So if you put do not disturb, or put silence, or whatever it is, those notifications will go by, right? That's how it is, and that's what it's going to be. So you have to stand in that way. You need to understand about what's going on in this situation, because why, Aquarius, I understand what you're going through, but the way this is, if you want support, if you want respect, if you want things to be happening, that's what it is, because that's what it's going to be, okay? Now, clarify this Queen of Pentacles here. 4 Pentacles already, you want money. 8 Wands reverse is no new beginnings. 9 Cups already, there's romance. Queen Wands reverse is no charisma. Page Pentacles already, there's prospects. 9 Pentacles already, you're feeling comfortable. Exactly. So if you want love, if you want respect, if you want things to be happening, that's what it is. So you want to feel comfortable. And comfortable will go the right way, the right direction, the right, that's how it goes. And you have to understand that, because the way of this is, you think back and say, this is how it goes in that way. And that's what it is, right? So you understand what you're going through, and that's how it goes. So it's like you need to understand it. So you might be doing a very Taurus in one way or another, but that's how it goes, right? So that's what it's going to be. Now, let me clarify this 4 of Swords here. 7 Pentacles already, you're focused on your career. 8 Pentacles already, there's prosperity about money. Just yours is not telling the truth, right? When you're not telling the truth, you make up lies, but the way how this is, Aquarius, you need to understand it. It's like, the Justice reverse, when it means that you're not telling the truth, there was something wrong with that picture, right? It's like that's how it goes, right? So there's something that, you must be thinking that you're deleting something. You might be, deleting another notification on your phone, whatever it is. You might be, so there's so many ways to understand that, right? It's the way how it is, how this is. So let me clarify this Justice card reverse. Moon is over, there's some expectations. Sun card reverse is negativity. Death card reverse has no endings. Hermit is over, there's solitude. Yeah, so you might be looking for a soulmate, but you're in negativity. And, it's the way how this is, because when you're in negativity, things are not going as planned. It's like you're saying, I don't like this anymore. I quit. But you know what, Aquarius, it's like, if you keep wanted to have solitude, right? If you're looking for a soulmate, or when you have the moon as misrotations, you're affected by the moon, right? So Aquarius, I understand what you're going through, but when you had the Sun card reverse, there's negativity. Negativity will hit you from the head to your toes, right? It basically is saying that you need to understand about staying positive rather than being negative, right? It's the way how it works, but when you're not telling the truth, and when things are not going as planned, that's what it's going to be, right? It's the way how it is. So let me clarify this. 9 Pentacles here. Hangman is there, there's restrictions. Taurus is no transformation. Leo-Virgo is no decisions. Chariot over there's progress. Exactly. So you're basically saying that when you need to have that balance, whether if you want to have, looking for a soulmate, whether if you think about having progress when you have restrictions, it's like you're saying, like, there's a way of knowing to do, but when this is saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, there's a way of you're saying that, okay, well, Aquarius needs to do this in the right way, right? That's what it's going to be. So whether if you say to yourself, why I'm getting all these notifications, why I, need to think about this. Well, if you're having a notification from, your whether if you live with a roommate, whether if you live with your own soulmate, whatever it is, you have to stand about. You have to believe in your own self. You have to, think back to yourself and say, okay, well, I need to be aware of myself. I need to be who I am, and that's what it is. So whether you're focusing on restrictions and being restricted, and there's a time where you're saying that I can't do this, or I want to do this, or this is what it is. It's like you're saying to yourself, like, woe is me, I can't do it anymore, I quit. But you know what? It's not like that. It's the way of this is, Aquarius. You need to understand about there's always an underline of experience. Now, what I'm saying is that when you're doing that underline of experience, you're trying to think that you are being experienced. But when you're not experienced, and you're between, under that line, you're into that line. You're there. The line is a barrier, and when it is, that's what it's going to be. So, that's why when you have the Hangman and stuff, right, you have restrictions, and when you do it, that's what it seems to be. So, Aquarius, I understand what you're going through, but wait, this is how it goes, right? So, let me clarify this Hermit card here. Sun card reverse is negativity. Judgment reverse is no action. Hangman reverse is no restrictions. Happiness reverse is no inner voice. Hermit is already you're finding solitude. So whether if you're in between having negative, you're having a double of negative. And when you have a double of negative, it's like it's not going to be end well. It's not going to do that. But that's how it goes. So whether you think to yourself to think, well, this is how it is, this is what it's going to be, right? It's like you're not being stupid, you're not being pathetic, you're not, no. The way this is, if you're in negativity, that's what it's going to be, right? It's if you're having a good day, fine. If you're having a bad day, you need to understand what you're going through in that way. So you have to understand this, Aquarius, because you have to think that every single time, between day after day, week by week, month by month, and year by year, you're changing your own attitude, you're changing your own emotions, this is how it goes. And when you do it, that's what it's going to be, right? So whether if you're focusing on other restrictions or you're focusing on other solitude, whatever it is, you're into that negative slot, right? And when you do it, that's what it's going to be, right? So let me clarify between the Hangman and his Chariot. The Empress Uranus is no nourishment, Chariot Uranus is no progress, Lower Silver, you're making decisions, Just Uranus is not telling the truth. Exactly. So when you're not telling the truth, there's both sides of that situation. So let me clarify this justice here. Magician is over their skill. Terrence Uranus is no healing. Those over there's obsessions, addictions. Exactly. So things are not going as planned, Aquarius, and I understand what you're going through, but when you have violence, when you're saying bad language, whatever it is, I understand what you're feeling, Aquarius. I understand that, but you need to understand whether you're feeling like you're basically thinking that you're basically saying that you're into Capricorn or you're not, or you're basically saying that you're thinking that all these zodiac signs, as in Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, like, you need to understand on whether or not you pay attention, right? It's like that's how it goes. So whether if you think that you need to understand that, that's how it goes, right? So in plural of this whole entire situation, that's what you're going through, right? So let me clarify this middle of the situation. Because there's no empathy. 9 Wands over there's fear. 7 Wands there's no resilience. 7 Careers and negativity. Exactly. So you're in between having fear and negativity. You know, that's how it goes. And that's a bad combination right there. So let me clarify this. Let's see about this reading. So let's see. So I'm going to go from the middle to the right, middle to left. Ace of Pentacles here says no growth. 10 Cups here, there's completion. Page of Swords, there's education. 9 Cups is over there's romance. King Pentacles is over there's security. 3 Pentacles here, there's excitement. 9 Swords here says no trauma. High Priest here says no inner voice. Ace of Swords here says a misunderstanding. Exactly. So Aquarius, when you're saying that you're having a misunderstanding, that's what it is. But why would you have a misunderstanding? So let me clarify this Ace of Swords here. Moon is up. Moon reverse is no misrepresentations. 10 of Swords reverse is no conclusions. 9 Wands is over there's fear. 2 of Swords reverse is no crossroads. 3 is over there's progress. Exactly. Let me clarify the Moon here. 10 Cups is over there's a delusion. So you might have a deja vu moment. Let me clarify between the middle and the left side, please. Queen of Swords reverse, there's no independence. Exactly. Here for reverse, there's no guidance. Death goes over, there's endings, so you're focusing on the Scorpio. King Wands reverse, there's no passion. Ace Wands reverse, there's no new beginnings. 8 Wands reverse, there's no speed. Magician reverse, there's no skill. Queen Cups over, there's empathy. So there's two sides of the story here. One makes sense, one doesn't make sense. But you decide. So whether you're focusing on either Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, Gemini, Leo, Aquarius, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, that's what it seems to be. Right, Aquarius? That's what it seems to be. And you have to understand that. So the universe is saying 6 Wands reverse is no achievement. 7 reverse is no bravery. King of Swords reverse, there's no noise. 9 Pentacles over there's comfort. So being comfortable. 8 Cups reverse is no introspects. Justin is where you're taking action. Ace Cups there's satisfaction. 6 of Cups is upright, there's the past. Exactly. So basically you're saying that you're focusing on the past, right? So, you know, the past is, you know, the way how this is, it's like this is how it goes, right? So what I'm trying to say is that you think that to yourself, you're saying, you know, well, you know, I'm focusing on the past. I need to know about the past. It's like, you know, I always keep saying this, and I'll say it again. It's like, if you're focusing on the past, leave the past alone. And when you do it, that's what it's going to be. Because if you're stuck in the past, it's not going to be, you know, the present or the future, none of the above. But the way this is, if you are basically saying that you are stuck on the past, you know, the way of this is, right, is you have to stand that you have to believe what you're doing, and this is the way it works. So, you know, Aquarius, I understand what you're going through, but the way this is, you need to pay attention, and that's what it is. So, whether if you decide it's like, okay, well, you know, I need to understand it, that's what it is, and that's what it is. So, you have to pay attention, and you have to understand that, because if you're focusing on the past, leave that alone, you know, and that's what it's going to be. So, if you're stuck in the past, you know, that's how it goes, and this is what it's going to be. So you have to pay attention, but that's how it goes, Aquarius. So I hope you all like this video. Try to give a like in the comment if you want, but this is how it's going to be, and that's how it goes. So this is what it is, but that's what it's going to be. So I hope you all like this video. Try to give a like in the comment, and I'll see you next time I'm going to do, and that's how it goes. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time I'm going to do, and that's how it goes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye for now already, and thanks, and bye.